So if you've been paying attention to CNBC lately, you probably would have noticed this article. Alphabet CEO Sundar Pichai's compensation topped $200 million in 2022. In total, it was actually $226 million, consisting of a $2 million base salary with $218 million worth of stock awards and $6 million for personal security. And while this figure is certainly a standout, it's certainly not the first time we've seen big name CEOs making mega bucks. In 2022 alone, Tim Cook earned $99 million over at Apple. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella earned $55 million. Reed Hastings made $51 million over at Netflix. The list goes on. And while there's always been a strong debate over what constitutes appropriate executive compensation, considering many executives make hundreds of times more than their average employees, the debate has really heated up in 2022 specifically, as in recent times, we've also seen in many cases these CEOs make the decision to lay off significant percentages of their workforce. So in this video, I want to take a deep dive into the controversial topic of CEO compensation to see what's the root of this problem and what can we do about it. So why is there so much debate around the topic of CEO compensation? Well, at its core, it comes down to a battle between two perspectives. You have the perspective of the shareholders and the perspective of the workers. You see, from the workers' perspective, this debate seems absolutely ridiculous. According to the Economic Policy Institute, in 2021, the ratio of CEO to typical worker compensation was 399 to 1. Up from 366 to 1 in 2020, and a big increase from 59 to 1 in 1989 and 20 to 1 in 1965. But it doesn't stop there. They also note that CEO pay has grown even faster than the stock prices of the companies that they run. From 1978 to 2021, CEO pay grew by 1,460%, far outstripping S&P stock market growth at 1,063%. An argument from workers has always been that this kind of income taken up in the boardroom is very excessive, considering the workers' wages have only grown 18.1% across that same time period. So that's one point that understandably gets people a little disgruntled, but in the last year or so, it's fair to say that this frustration has hit new all-time highs. Because while these CEOs have pocketed tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars in compensation, much of which being bonuses or stock awards, many of these high-flying tech CEOs have also been firing significant percentages of their workforce. As I said at the start of the video, Google CEO Sundar Pichai took home $200 million for his work in 2022, while in January of this year, he wrote a blog post detailing how 12,000 workers at Google would be losing their jobs. While he noted these changes weigh heavily on him, and he takes full responsibility for the decisions that led them there, it doesn't really change the fact that maybe if Google didn't pay their executives exorbitant amounts of money, they might have been able to keep a few of their on-the-ground workers. Or how about this one? Ruth Porat, Google's CEO, said in a company-wide email in April that the tech giant would need to cut back on things like employee fitness classes, staplers, tape, and laptop replacements, while she herself took home $24.5 million in 2022. It's understandably a very frustrating situation for workers because it comes across as extremely hypocritical. Now, I've picked on Google here because it's their compensation packages that are making headlines at the moment, but I should note that this is happening not just at Google, but across the board. Meta, Apple, Disney, Amazon, Microsoft, Twitter, PayPal have all announced rounds of layoffs, some more extensive than others. But here is a table showing what their respective CEOs took home across 2022. In most cases, tens of millions of dollars, while workers lost their jobs. And just to rub salt into the wounds, in most cases, these CEO paychecks didn't even take much of a hit in 2022 compared to what they earned during the boom times of 2021. And did you know Simply Wall Street is actually a really amazing resource to help you track CEO compensation, and they're also the sponsor of today's video. For example, here I've typed in Meta and you can see their CEO Mark Zuckerberg took home $27.1 million in total compensation last year. You can also see their tenure, their stock ownership. And if you scroll down, you can actually track how their compensation has fared over time versus the earnings per share of the company. But even better, if you scroll down a little bit further, you can actually get all of these stats for the entire leadership team as well. This is just one of the many tabs you can explore on Simply Wall Street, so check it out using my referral code down below, and you can also score a massive 40% off their premium plan. Or sign up to an extended 14-day free trial and explore things like valuation, future growth expectations, past performance, financial health, dividends, and a whole lot more. So remember to use that referral code, but with that said, let's get back to the video. So that's one side of the argument, but then you have the perspective of the shareholders. In their eyes, the number one job of the CEO is to keep the business humming as efficiently and as profitably as they can, so that shareholder returns are maximized over time. Yes, obviously, paying employees fairly is very important, but it's seen more in the grander context of creating the most productive workforce possible to keep profits rising. Long story short, in the eyes of the shareholder, the CEO could make literally 5 decisions a year and be worth $200 million easily if those 5 decisions generated really strong long-term shareholder returns. Have a listen to Elon Musk talking about this point last year.
Every good hour or even minute of thinking about Tesla and SpaceX has such a big effect on the company that I really try to work as much as possible. Tesla's getting to the point where every high quality minute of thinking is $1 million to impact on Tesla. I mean, there are many instances where I was able to improve the financial outcome of the company by $100 million in a half-hour meeting.
And if Elon is able to save Tesla that much money through just a few minutes of decision making, there's obviously a very strong argument from shareholders that he's worth every penny. So there are definitely 2 perspectives to consider around this argument of CEO pay, but it certainly doesn't stop the fact that it's very annoying for most people to see corporate executives earning tens of millions of dollars in stock awards or bonuses, while hardworking citizens get fired in cost-cutting efforts. So what needs to be done? Well, recently, Mr. Warren Buffett, CEO of Berkshire Hathaway, and one of, if not the most honest capitalists you could find, had some very wise words on the topic. Now here he's talking specifically about bank CEOs, but his line of thinking can easily be applied across all businesses.
They've got to have something to lose themselves. I mean, in 2008, all kinds of trouble was caused by the banks, but no bank executive, the CEOs that made those decisions, they all continued to live fine. They may have lost their job, but they get their pensions. I had some friends in banking. I may not have any by the time this program is over, but I would suggest that anybody that's CEO of a bank that screws up and costs shareholders a lot of money, that in effect, they get no pension from the bank. They go back to living, like a person that works on the production line at Ford or something like that. I would suggest that the directors of the bank that sat there for 5 years and listen to people come in and give reports and all that sort of thing, that they get back all their directors' fees. And there's got to be consequences to the people who make the decisions. The answer is to have the board of directors feel, my God, if this guy screws things up, I've got to give back all this money that I've gotten, $300,000 a year or whatever it may be, and pre-stock and this kind of stuff. I've got to give it all back for 5 years. Believe me, that changes behavior of the people that caused the problem.
That's really the trick, to put terms and conditions in the compensation package that reward the CEO with bonuses when the company thrives, but also ensure there are clauses that lower their pay if the company suffers. Now, many will argue that this already exists in the business world, and it does. In fact, many of the companies I've listed in the video already have performance-based compensation packages. But the problem with these is that the CEO never really feels the pinch if the company suffers. Yes, they might miss a tranche or 2 of their annual bonus, but it's not like any of them are eating microwave mac and cheese every night, unless of course it's by choice. For example, in that clip, Warren referenced the 2008 global financial crisis, which was brought on by catastrophic mismanagement at the banks. Now, while these bank CEOs lost their jobs and ruined their reputations, it's true that none of them really suffered financially when all was said and done. In fact, as I noted in a recent video, many of these CEOs actually walked away with handsome bonuses for destroying America's financial system. Lehman CEO Dick Fuld walked away with $34 million in 2007. John Thain at Merrill Lynch, he spent $1.2 million on office renovations at that time. Charles Prince at Citi resigned as CEO in late 2007 and received $10.4 million in bonuses. Joseph Cassano at AIG earned $34 million in bonuses in 2008. Now, that was obviously an extreme case where Warren's ideas would have worked wonders, but that general compensation structure could still definitely be applied to any company today. The question, however, is whether there's enough willingness to change the way CEO compensation gets drawn up. You see, at the current time, CEO compensation is decided by the board of directors or an external compensation committee, but that game essentially just helps CEOs earn more and more every year. Now, as a result of what happened in 2008, in the last 10 years or so, around the world, more and more countries have introduced laws that give shareholders a say on CEO pay. But unfortunately, it's very easy to argue that these laws really aren't going to change much, at least not in their current form. For example, in the United States, a say on pay provision was ushered in when the Dodd-Frank Act, Wall Street Reform, and Consumer Protection Act were passed in 2010. Section 951 of the Dodd-Frank Act, which deals with executive compensation, requires that at least once every 3 years, shareholders have a non-binding say-on-pay vote on executive compensation. And while it's frustratingly non-binding, this does at least give shareholders a bit of a voice in what they would like to see as a compensation package. And it's also handy because if the company decides not to listen to their shareholders, at least that stands as public knowledge and could influence whether a board member gets voted back in later down the track. But despite these pros, I think most would come to the conclusion that a non-binding vote by shareholders on whether they approve a pre-prepared compensation plan is probably not enough to change the way CEOs are being compensated more broadly. At the end of the day, it will likely take hefty legislation to give shareholders more power to decide how the management of each company is compensated and whether they are properly penalized if the business performs poorly under their leadership. But with that said, please let me know your thoughts and opinions on CEO compensation and what, if anything, should be done about it. Leave a comment down below. Please leave a like on the video if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you'd like to see more. And with that said, I'll see you guys in the next video.